Cause I'm a pirate, yeah, yeah, a pirate, yeah, yeah, a pirate, yeah, yeah. Now let me introduce myself. 난 한대 시작해 향해.
Hi, Winter Rosie here. There is no doubt K-pop as an industry and as a genre has its flaws. However, one thing K-pop is highly appreciated for is its creative ways of portraying music and visuals through the concepts. And for this video I will rank almost every single one of it. Let's get something straight first. I will only be looking at the concepts, not the genres. The concept doesn't always translate directly to the song's genre. The concept could be something completely different from how the song sounds, so keep that in mind when I rank some of these. Though I still managed to fuck it up somehow, I did try my best focusing just on the concept itself. If you want to try making your own list, feel free to. A link will be down in the description for y'all to try. Now, to the actual video. Anyways, here's our basis for the tier list. S, for perfect. Literally unmatched and spectacular. A, for it's so good I can listen to this all day. B, for something I like, but not too crazy about. C, for an alright concept. Not good, nor bad, just alright. D, for a concept that should be good but is rarely that. E, for enough. Like just stop, it's not fun anymore. And finally, F, for we should have stopped the moment it begun. Got that all? Alright, first one.
Bitches.
Oh, badass concepts. Who's the baddest of them all? When I think of badass I think of 4-minute, CLC, literally every mature concept that isn't girl crush. And for the men's side, unless cute, almost everything they do is considered badass.
남자들은 탐탐탐 내 입술 냠냠냠 어디 가도 당당당 등장은 짠짠.
Now what does badass even mean? Badass means something tough or intimidating. And from what I've seen only about a quarter of idols can really emit that badass feel we all know. Some of them just try too hard to give off that energy and they end up looking goofy or whatever. On its highest the concept can be very engaging, but in its lowest it could easily come off as cringy and very try hard. And sadly there's more of the latter. This is rarely good because only a few groups can really pull this concept well. Now if I was some biased fuck making the list this would easily be on top. But I am not, and I am trying to be fair here. Which is why I'll sadly put this concept at this very low tier of A. Jokes aside, I am absolutely in love with this concept and you should too. Yes, oversaturated. Yes, overdone. But also overperfect. I mean, come on, you can't blame me. These are literally some songs under the concept. Any lower than this would be a crime. This concept has been so consistent lately and I couldn't be more happy to live during these times. Hey girl, just like the concept itself, I think it's cool. It's been a while since I've seen something like this, but from what I remember, almost all were good. But no one really did it better than EXO. Songs like Lotto or Call Me Baby is so good because the members themselves elevated the concept with their own coolness. It's like a tamer version of being badass, which is much easier to pull off for most idols, or just any person in general. Just smile or smirk and you got the whole fandom lining up to you. Kinda sad there isn't much of it anymore, but nonetheless it's still a really good concept that I think should be done more. Here's some of my favorites from the concept.
빛나는 것들은 많아 그 안에 진짜를 봐봐 Call me baby, baby, call me baby, call me baby I love you and I wanna get down I love you girl I wanna get down
and I'm gonna get down Narration make you feel the heat 전 세계가 너를 주목해 Bring the boys out 위풍도 당당하지가
If you really think about it, all of these concepts are great on its own. What diminishes its quality is how idols portray it or how oversaturated it is. And this one unfortunately has all of the negatives with it. Don't get me wrong, it has some great examples for it. I mean, just listen to some of these. When done well, it is honestly amazing. But I could say that for almost every single concept. This is the concept that every group has done in some way or another, and not all the time is it done well. Badass and cute are like the opposite ends of the spectrum, yet they both suffer the same way. They suffer the case of being overdone that could end up looking try-hard and cringy. Fortunately for this concept, I've seen it done well more than their opposite. So I'll be fair and say this does well a lot more than the badass one.
지난 모든 기억들을 지워줘
Excuse me for the obvious answer, but of course this would be here. This concept fucks me up so much you don't even know. Like, I'm thankful this isn't a concept everyone is trying, because this truly is a hard one to pull off. Not to give off I'm not like other girls' energy, but this is easily one of the best out there, and this isn't even my favorite. I'll be honest and say that we still haven't peaked in this concept. Yes, we get very good ones, but there's just something missing. One day I'd like to see a group whose sole purpose and concept is to be dark and gritty. Which is a big risk since the fans love fun and catchy songs. But if K-pop was really creative and artistic, maybe something like this wouldn't hurt. Surely they can come up with something. But other than that, I have no complaints. Thank God we left this concept to the ones who actually are good doing it.
Oh, déjà vu. Oh, déjà vu. Oh, déjà vu. So far, she took me to the sky.
밟아 내가 말하는지 너라면 한번 아깝지 않은 나
What a beautiful concept. No, seriously, what a pleasing and gorgeous concept this is. Whoever thought of this needs to get their life secured. I'd gladly pay their rent anytime, because wow. You actually don't understand how elegant you must be to execute this. Cute, sexy, badass can be learned to some extent, but elegance? Nah. Elegance comes from the soul and it can't be learned. I'm talking about staring at the camera without it looking awkward. That's how you know you're up for the job. Again, only a few groups can pull off something like this. Here comes my whiz one ass, but yes, the Swan Girls do it very well that they made it their own concept. You have to fully embody this concept for it to work. So props to anyone who manages to capture the spirit of being elegant, because it is not easy at all.
넌 나의 별이다.
더 칠해 좀 더 짙게 이 밤 깊이 번져가고 있어
If it weren't for TXT absolutely dominating 2021, this concept wouldn't be here, but thanks to them I got to somehow acknowledge the style a bit more. This is a very rare concept that seemed to have been forgotten since 2017 or sometime back then. Emo itself doesn't really mean this or that, but more like anything that feels emotional or heartbroken, which we did in fact have even before TXT. Groups like Day 6 and The Rose have been doing the whole heartbreak anthems ever since, but I think they are considered more of K-rock rather than K-pop. But whether we look at them as K-pop or not, either way it's still a pretty decent concept, and from what I've seen all of it was done well. But for me personally, the whole heartbroken style doesn't interest me. I do love the songs that comes with it, but as a concept itself there isn't much for me to enjoy. I actually like this concept a lot. With fantasy comes interesting stories and narratives along with it. It's usually not deep. It's more or less a Disney princess type of story, but it's still very enjoyable and it's a welcome for me. I'm not an avid Disney fan or anything, but I really love the fantasy fairy tale aesthetic that comes with it. It has a mix of elegance too, which where we've discussed is something that I very much love to see. One of my alt groups, Red Velvet, also does this concept well, and I love it every single time they do. It just had this some sort of magical feel that for some reason I like very much. Maybe I am a Disney fan. Oh, Girl Crush. Some people love it, some people absolutely hate it, yet I think both sides are justified. Let's look at why people hate it first. One main reason would obviously be it being oversaturated. Girl Crush is like the last straw for girl groups. If the group is immensely flopping, they will all fall into this pit of doing a Girl Crush concept, which is their final resort to getting success. Now what's funny is companies think that we love Girl Crush and we call for it every time. But in this day and age we all know that is the last thing we want from a group. Don't get me wrong, we still get some good ones. Just look at these. Other than the fact that everyone and their mother has done Girl Crush, I think what makes this concept so bad is how boring some of these idols make it look. You look at Blackpink, and you say wow, that was great, they do it very well, good job. Then you look at other ones and you go, what the fuck is this? This is like a combination of being cool and badass yet still lovable, which is probably why most idols fail to interpret this concept well. So this is going at the very bottom. It's either they do it less or just do it better.
Shall we dance? Shall we dance?
I like it, but it has to go. It appears if your group has really good rappers you have no other choice but to do this concept. to which then they'll eventually grow out of. This happened with BTS, iKON, and I guess even Stray Kids, who all debuted with something hip hop related but has now transformed into something very different. Which is kinda unfair to hold against it since about all concepts have been swapped out with another. But the thing here is I don't think I've seen a group fully utilize and grow with the hip hop concept. Out of all the concepts it just doesn't really appeal to a lot, which is probably why it's something a group does once and never again. There's still some pretty good with it though.
Join it. Shall we dance? Shall we dance? Do it like this. 주저앉지 말고 그냥 do it like this. 너의 꿈을 외쳐 함께 do it like this. Like this.
배부거나 내치거나 천사 같은 널로 달콤하게 샀던 발린 맹도 내 없어 착한 쪽 말고 꺼져 내가 지겨운 거니 그냥 싫어진 거니 그만두자 말 못해 안달이 난 거니 원한 말고
Some bangers here and there, but like Girl Crush, either do it less or do better. The only people who don't like this are the people who hate fun and think Girl Crush is peak K-pop. If there's anything that separates K-pop from other genres it would be this concept. Well yeah there is J-pop but my point still stands. The fun songs that are made to enjoy by all ages, performed by the most passionate people, and is loved by the masses. This is what this concept is for. It's joyful, it's entertaining, it's sometimes weird, but all in all, it's always a fun time to experience these.
번데기 앞에서 주름을 잡을까요? 이봐요 올라오려면 멀어네 여기 높은 곳까지 거기 아래 공기는 어때?
낯선 여자애야 낯선 향기애야 Yes I want some face 낯선 한가면 하는 너 그게 나 싫은 건 싫다고 말할 줄도 알아야지 네 맘대로.
This is one gem of a concept for K-pop. I assure you the moment we stop getting these people eventually keep asking for it, because it is really that great. If you were a fan back in 2020 you're probably sick of this one. Even I can get tired of something like this, but I can't deny this shit always slaps. Anything nostalgic or 80s 90s inspired will have a special place in my heart. I think every human just falls into the nostalgia whenever presented to them, and I don't know why it does that. There's just something about it that gravitates me to it, and for some reason I just let it happen. I'll put this here just because I'd love for companies and groups to be more original. But if a group's target is to make a hit song, then this is the way to go. And being me, I will probably enjoy the hell out of it. Oh do I love this one. I don't know if this is just me but any song under this concept slaps so hard every single time. I mean just look at these.
네가 들을 때마다 미칠 것 같아 내 눈을 보며 살짝 웃어주면 빨리 빛이 빨라서 저 어둠 사이사이로 매직한 paradise.
The schoolgirl concept alone carries this concept. I don't really have much else to say other than I'm a sucker for it and will forever be. It is that good. My only basis for this concept is Superhuman by NCT, which is like their best song, but other than that I don't know anything. The only other ones I can really think of are from other SM groups, like aespa or EXO. I guess they just do it very well, and from what I've seen I like most of it. Wait, what am I saying? The whole Kwangya concept is literally sci-fi.
I'm on the next level. 저 너머의 문을 열어 next level. 널 결국엔 내가
A really cool concept that probably wouldn't look good if you didn't have enough budget. I don't think it's rarely good, but more like just rare to see. That being said, Superhuman is still the best one to come out of this concept. I love emotions. I love feeling sad for something that I shouldn't even be sad for. I think this concept is just done beautifully every time someone does it. The only thing this concept asks for is genuineness from the artist, and if they can achieve that then the concept's perfect. I know a lot wouldn't agree with me, but whatever, this is my list, so you gotta agree with me until the video ends. I'm not so sure with this one, to be honest. I can appreciate a sexy concept especially when the idol is actually sexy themselves. But it's nothing that surprises me anymore. Showing skin is something I've seen countless of times already, and that doesn't really affect me as much any longer. Body rolls and grinding interests me no more, and I feel like most idols are just trying hard to be sexy. Only about 2 out of 10 idols are genuinely sexy, and they carry this concept indeed. It's an alright concept that is actually rare these days, since only a few people can really pull it off. So I'll just put it at here. This is one that is very simple and very easy to work with. All it really is acting natural and genuine, which I think most people can do. I don't got a lot to say about it other than I think it's cool, but at the same time I don't think this is anything special. But it is great to see something like this once in a while, especially after all the hard-hitting concepts groups tend to do more nowadays.
괜찮은 결말 그거면 됐다 널 사랑했다
I like it. I'm 25. 날 좋아하는 거 알아.
Not my favorite of the bunch, but I'm glad it exists. Probably the most creative one out of all, and definitely the hardest one to pull off. Like, how do you make stars interesting? Almost every rendition of this concept has been done uniquely. Luna with their own moon universe, cosmic girls with a dream-like Cosmo fairy tale, EXO with the fun comic book Star Wars feel, and many more that I probably forgot about. My favorite would be Luna's because well, just look at it. But if we're talking literal space-themed concept and song, I think WJSN did it the best. They have been straying away from the space thing recently, but how could we ever forget the classics they brought together with this concept?
Trust 날 믿어줘 이 순간을 꽉 잡아도 용기를 줘 나에게 만큼만 나를 떠올려줄래 더 많이 사랑해줄게 깜깜한 밤을 더 차가워
이 음악을 통해 다시 한 목소리로 노래할 때
As always, when done well it's a sight to be seen, but rarely does it ever come up, so I guess this should be in the rarely good category. Or maybe somewhere between it's alright and this. If there's any concept that would never die off, it would probably be this one. Summer comes once a year and so does this concept. And every time it does it's usually something different song-wise. But in its core it's often the same idea. Either on the beach, in a bar, a road trip, whatever it is, it's a concept that a lot of people can get behind with. The only problem I can really think of is being repetitive, which is kinda weird to say since this comes along every single year, meaning it's probably going to stay repetitive for a very long time. So I don't think that it's much of a fair criticism to it. At most I think it's an alright concept. It's not that creative or revolutionary, but it's fun and simple, something I can see a lot of people including myself enjoy. Saying it right now, I think the ITZY girls are the only ones who truly does this concept justice. Look-wise I think everyone does well, but there's just something about them that screams teen crush. Not to mention that the songs help a lot with it. Most of these teen crush songs have this shouting chant part in it that just gets repetitive all the time. But without looking at the songs I think the concept is pretty okay at best. It's cool and all, but like most on the list, it's nothing that special or interesting. This list is pretty inconsistent, but it was really hard to make this video interesting. It was either I call everything good or everything was repetitive. I really did my best to stick with the concepts, but some of these songs either elevate or degrade the concept greatly that I couldn't help but just talk about it. Anyways, what are your thoughts on my list? I'd like to see your takes down in the comments, or heck maybe even make a video about it. Thank you to Gabriel Nallum for the idea. There were more than one, but I chose this since I thought this was the most interesting one to do. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you and goodbye. So now to my actual tier list.